Okay, so today's lesson is on multiplying polynomials by polynomials. And this is also given in what I can only assume is a cruel, cruel math teacher joke on students, the term simplifying. As you're going to discover, this does not make the equation any simpler, and the only reason I could see it being called simplifying is honestly as a cruel joke by teachers. That's what I always thought when I was a student anyway. However, it is useful for other things you're going to be doing later on in grade 11, so you need to know how to do it. So when we multiply a polynomial by another polynomial, it's a bit tricky. So because you're multiplying something in a bracket by something else in a bracket, you've got to keep track and make sure you multiply the x by the x by the plus 5, the minus 5 by the x, the minus 5 by the plus 5. You've got to multiply everything in the brackets by everything else. In fact, when I do this on paper, I actually will draw as I multiply to make sure that I don't forget. It's not a bad idea. The whole trick to this, guys, go slow, write everything out, and take your time. Don't try to rush through this until you've really got it down. For example, this is the second time I've recorded this because I got most of the way through and discovered I had made a mistake by trying to write this too fast in one of, and so there was a mistake in one of my questions. So go slow, be careful. Step 1, distribute. That means multiply everything out. Don't worry about adding right away, just multiply everything out. By the way, this example I'm giving you below is harder than anything on the worksheet or that I would give you in a course, okay? I believe in showing the hard examples first. I used to hate it when teachers would give you the really easy example, then give you this on the worksheet. I like showing you as bad as it's going to get right off the bat, and then have you do the easier stuff at home, because that seems a lot easier. And if you can understand this, you've got it all. So, first step, multiply it out. Start with the first term. Multiply everything in the second box by that first term and write it out. So 4x squared times 3x to the 6, 4 times 3 is 12, x squared, x to the 6, 2 plus 6 is 8. 4x squared times 2x to the 5th, 4 times 2, 8, x squared, x5, x7. Add them up. 4x squared times 5, well that 4 times 5 is 20 and the x squared stays the same. Then repeat it for the x. Don't forget when you only get an x, that's x to the 1. So x times 3x to the 6 would be 3x to the 6 plus 1, 3x to the 7. That's why I used to say, when I used to do this before I'd multiply it out, if I had just had an x by itself, I'd put a 1 as a superscript. I just put a 1 there to remind me that I had to add the 1. So you multiply everything by the x. Then you multiply everything by the 5. So you get this. And if you write all that out, it looks like this right here. Kind of ugly. The next thing you have to do is collect the terms that have the same variable. So like all the x7s or all the x squareds. Because we can only add things if the variable is the same. I can add an x to the 7 by an x to the 7. I can't add an x to the 7 by anything else. So collect them. What I would often do, again on paper, is as I collected it, I'd cross it out so I wouldn't have to look at it anymore. And I'd remember that I already had it. So 12x to the 8. I've got 2x's to the 7, that one and that one. So I put those together. X to the 6. Okay, I go through. Oh, there's one. Oh, there's another. Write them together. X to the 5. Again, you just keep, oh, there's only one. All right, x squared, only one. X, only one. And with a number, only one. So we write it out like that. Then you add the ones that have the same exponent. So I can't do anything with the x to the 8 because I only have one. I can add the 8 and the 3 to get 11x to the 7, make it a little easier. I can add the 2 and the 15, the x to the 6's to make 17, and then everything else has to stay the same. That's why, as I said, it's a sick joke to call that simplifying, because that is really not simpler. Unfortunately, it's what we have to do to get to the next step, which you're going to do in grade 11. It may seem useless now, it's not. It will make your life next year much easier if you can do this. So, let's look at one you would actually do as an example. So, x plus 2 times x plus 3. So, you write it out, then we distribute it. X times x, x squared. X times 3, 3x. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 3 is 6. The only things I can add there are the x's. I can add the 3 and the 2. So my final answer is x squared plus 5x plus 6. Then you're done. All right? That's like the first one on the worksheet. If you do that, you can do a good third of the worksheet. Try a slightly harder one. So we have 3 terms in the second. It's exactly the same. You just got to go slow and careful. X squared times 3x cubed. X squared times 2x. X squared times 1. 2x times 3x, 2x times 2x, 2x times 1. So you multiply them all out. So x squared times 3x cubed is 3x to the 5. That works out to 2x, and then that'll be cubed. This one's going to work out to minus x squared because the negative is going to tell you whether or not it's a plus or a minus, okay? When you multiply it out, if it's negative, so x squared times minus 1, that's minus x, so that means it's going to be a negative, not a positive in front. 2x times 3x cubed is going to be 2 times 3 is 6. X times x cubed is going to be x to the 4th. Then we multiply 2x and 2x, 4x squared, because remember 1 plus 1 would give you 2. And then you get minus 2x, because it would be 2x times minus 1 gives you a negative, so that means it's going to be a negative, not a positive. Collect what we know is the same. Well, 1, 5, 1, 4, 1, 3. Oh, there's only 2 terms we can actually do anything with. The x squareds. That's the only one we can simplify any further by adding 4 times minus 1, which is like subtracting 1 from 4, so you get 3. The adding and subtracting, don't forget, never changes the variable. It just changes the number in front. And then there's your answer. If you can do that, if that made sense, you're laughing. The other use we have for this is if you've got a polynomial that's squared, we can actually figure out what that is. So remember, squaring something means multiplying it by itself. X squared means x times x. So 3x plus 2 squared means 3x plus 2 times 3x plus 2. So a use of this simplification is actually, multiplying polynomials, is to find what happens if we square a polynomial. So let's say you have 6x plus 1 squared. What is that? What is 6x plus 1 squared? Well, it's 6x minus 1 times 6x minus 1. So 6x times 6x is 36x squared. So 6 times 6 is 36. X times x is x squared. 6x times minus 1 is minus 6x. Minus 1 times 6x is minus 6x. Minus 1 times minus 1 is plus 1. Don't forget, when you multiply two negatives, it turns into a positive. So we get 36x squared minus 6x plus 1. Well, the 6x is the only thing I can do anything with. Minus 6 is minus 12. So your answer is 36x squared minus 12x plus 1. So the trick to this, go slow, go careful. Make sure you keep track of all the terms. All your mistakes are going to be keeping track of terms in this, and pluses and minuses. 6 times 6, 36. X times x, x squared. 6 times minus 1 is minus 6. Minus 1 times 6 is minus 6. Minus 1 times minus 1 is plus 1. Add the ones that have the same term, and you get an answer, okay? That's it. I know it seems like a cruel joke that we call this simplifying, but there is actually a good use for this that you guys will be using when you get to grade 11. So this is an important skill for next year, all right? See you next time.